Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So,
Good afternoon.
how your day went off till the time? Hello?
Hello?
Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How many of you tried to read whatever we discussed in our last class? Have you tried? నిన్న పాఠం చెప్పుకున్నాం కదా, ఎంతమంది చదవడానికి ట్రై చేశారు? ఓకే, డజంట్ మ్యాటర్. ఒక్కసారి క్లాస్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత you please try to read your book so that it will be very easy for you to understand. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Today, let us go to the next unit, that is unit number 2 in our block 1. In our last class, we have discussed about the emergence of sociology, particularly how Industrial Revolution as well as French Revolution, these two major events in our world history, influenced the origin, emergence, development of sociology, right? Particularly how society changed due to these two evolutions, as well as certain other factors like development of travel facilities. Similarly, giving more and more importance to natural sciences, which resulted in a new science, which is, of course, a social science, but at the same time follows the principles of natural sciences, that is social physics. Auguste Comte coined this word, and he defined and described what this new science is. Of course, later he understood that we cannot keep people in a laboratory and study them, because we have to study social life in a social setting. Hence, he changed the social physics word to sociology. In today's session, we are going to discuss about definition, nature, scope, importance, etc. of our subject, which we are going to study in detail. Okay, that is unit 2. Here, in order to save some time, so once again, let me share one video so that particularly, since we'll be seeing our definitions and all that, this will be easier for us to read out the definitions. Are you able to see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. This slide, of course, is a kind of recapitulation of our last class. All of you are well aware, Auguste Comte, who is recognized as father of sociology, he coined the word sociology, we know that. And it is the youngest of all social sciences. Even this also we discussed yesterday and we recapitulate it. The word society as a Latin word means society, and logy or scientific study or science or study, a combination of these two words created a new word, namely sociology. What is sociology? If we see the etymological meaning of sociology, societas, that is society, and logy or science or study, if you combine these two words, we can define sociology as science or study of society, human society. But there are so many definitions, because each and every person, each and every social scientist and also sociologist who described scope of sociology or importance of sociology and how it is different from other social sciences. So in their descriptions, they have given so many definitions. Let us have a glance of these definitions. We usually start with LF Ward definition. What Ward says is, sociology is the science of society or of social phenomena. You please try to remember, yesterday we were discussing about this word phenomena. Phenomenon is a singular word and phenomena plural word. Whatever we see, that part will be analyzing, describing, and preparing theories. I think If you remember yesterday, we had one example also. A particular horse, if it is black, or sheep, if it is black, then we cannot conclude that it is black. Sociologists would say the side which I am seeing is black because the other side he has not yet seen. So unless and until you see, you cannot conclude. That is the reason it is not a moral science, we usually say. Ginsberg, another sociologist, defines sociology as he has used certain technical terms. Why I'm insisting on these terms is because these are the terms which we use in sociology. It is better, a student is better to remember them and understand them. Interaction is a word which we use in our subject. In fact, that is a pivotal point for our study. What is this interaction? If you ask any psychology student, he or she would say stimulus and response. If you are giving some stimulus, the other person is giving a response, then there is a kind of interaction. But sometimes there is no awareness between the person, whoever is giving stimulus, or the person, whoever is responding. In order to have social interaction, stimulus with awareness and response. If these three aspects are there, then there is human interaction or social interaction. Sociology is a study of all these human interactions. How could we see these human interactions? These human interactions, we can observe them as relationships, interrelationships between the persons, a person or a group of persons and their conditions, a group of persons or one person where he or she or they are residing or doing various activities, expecting some consequences and having some consequences. That is the reason Ginsberg used all these words. Human interaction and interrelation of their conditions and consequences. If we study systematically these aspects, then that is sociology. Emile Durkheim, he is also considered as one of the founding fathers of sociology. He has given very simple definition. He has used not society, but social institutions, another concept which we use in our subject. These are all major concepts of sociology. Sociology is a science of social institutions. What is an institution? Institutions we develop in order to fulfill our needs. Each and every person or group of persons will definitely have certain basic needs. For instance, you should have your companion, you should be taken care of, and you yourself should take care of. That's one aspect. Second one is, in order to eke out your livelihood, you have to work somewhere. Some kind of transaction, economic transaction should go on. You must be controlled by a particular person. Otherwise, what happens? We are also human beings. Hobbes says so. In order to eke out our livelihood, we need some skills. In order to have our family, we need some skills. There must be some people, persons, or groups, or situations, or things, or tools in order to teach how to do agriculture, or how to hunt, or how to catch fish, etc. We know everything, but at the same time, certain situations are unexplainable for us. We will not be able to understand why it is happening like that. These are human beings' basic needs. Accordingly, we are having 5 basic social institutions. And from these 5 basic social institutions, umpteen number of social institutions we have created. What are these 5 basic social institutions? Family, economic institutions, political institutions, educational institutions, and religion. Right? As per Durkheim, a sociologist will be studying all these institutions, or any one of them, or any part of any one of these institutions. Ogben and Nemkov, in fact, these two social scientists, wrote a very authentic textbook on sociology, Introduction to Sociology, it is entitled. They say sociology is a study of social life. Our life can be divided into two parts. One is a human being. As a human being, we'll be having our individual life, where we as an animal will be having certain needs and will be trying to fulfill them or satiate those needs. For instance, you have to eat food, you have to drink water, you have to go to sleep, you require sleep as an animal. But here there is no social life. Just like any other animal, you are eating food and all that. But can we be like that? No, it is not possible. Animals, of course, they hunt and eat, but we cannot hunt, right? Once upon a time, even when we were hunting, even at that time also, people used to go as groups in order to hunt animals. So that group life is nothing but social life. Ogben and Nimkoff defines sociology as the study of social life. Kimball Young, another sociologist, defined sociology as a science which deals with the behavior of men in groups, not when he is an individual, but when he is in a group, how he behaves, what he usually do, how he addresses people. All these aspects we are supposed to study. On the basis of these definitions, we can identify the subject matter of sociology. I request you to please go through the slide. How many aspects are there? Please try to remember them. It is a study of society. What is society? It is nothing but a group of people, right? What these people would be doing, they will be living in a society or having social life. Then third one is the social life is always characterized by social relationships. These relationships may be friendly relationships or hostile relationships or indifferent relationships. We have certain processes also. Social processes, we call them. When social interactions take crystallized form, there emerges social process. Please mute your mic, Ma, so that others will be able to hear. Accommodation or cooperation, conflict, all these are termed as social processes. All these are nothing but processes of social relationships. Similarly, how we behave in a group, that is human behavior, a variety of social relationships, social action, what we do in order to help others, even that also is part and parcel of our subject matter. How we develop groups, how we organize these groups in a particular way. When we organize all these groups in a particular way, we will be having a social system and we will develop a specific way of life. It is also known as culture. We will be having an organization. If some kind of disorganization goes on, we consider them as problems and we'll try our level best to solve those problems. All these aspects will be studying. So subject matter of sociology is not limited to only one aspect or two aspects. It studies whatever is linked with our social life or social relationships. If it studies the entire society, all dimensions, all the gamut of social relationships, even other social are doing. What is the difference between sociology and other social? Please mute your mic. మీరు మ్యూట్ చేయకపోతే my voice will get this thing. So please mute. Okay. Here comes the question of understanding the nature of sociology. Make some statements. In fact, these statements are made even in your book also. You can go through what this topic, nature of sociology, describes to us. The science characteristics, sociology's characteristics will be described here. how to understand them, all these aspects will be seen. We are having so many social sciences like economics or political science or history or you name it, psychology. Where is the need to have another science? This we answered by studying the origin and development of sociology in our last session. There we have established it is an independent science, independent of economics or political science or geography or history or psychology or any other social science. In what way it is independent? Immediately the question comes. When we observe the nature of sociology, it is very, very clear that the subject matter of sociology is independent. Here, Ginsberg clearly describes the independence of sociology. For instance, a concept, namely computation, will be studied by the economists, by the political scientists. All of you are well aware of this. If any person is competing for a particular post, that may be MLA or MLC or MP or whatever it is, many people will be competing there. Competing for what? To gain political power, right? This gaining political power, how they are competing, what they are doing in order to come out of that competition in flying colors, political science studies. In economics, let us say two entrepreneurship firms are competing with each other. There we call economic competition. Even in sociology, we study the same word, competition. Is it different from economics and political science or any other? Yes, it is. We will not consider competition as a competition between two entrepreneurship firms or two industries or two political parties or two individuals who are aspiring to become the political leaders, but as a form of social relationships. Like that, other social sciences are studying what we do with the same social phenomenon is different from other social sciences. Hence, it is an independent science. When sociology came into existence as social physics, Auguste Comte wanted to have a physical science which studies social life. But later he had to change the name of the science as sociology. The reason is, just like physical sciences, we cannot do any experiments using a laboratory. We have to consider society as our laboratory. We have to observe. We cannot have any controlled groups. We will not be in a position to introduce something and do some experiments. So for instance, let me take medicine as an example. If let us say some new medicine is being manufactured, what they usually do, they'll select a group of people, they administer that medicine to this group of people. They take another group also where this medicine is not administered to them. They compare the effects of that particular medicine. What are the effects we come across among the people who have taken that medicine and among the people who have not taken the medicine? Here, the persons or group to whom we have given the medicine is known as controlled group. And the second group to whom we have not given any medicine is known as non-controlled or uncontrolled group. In all physical sciences, natural sciences, this type of method we follow. But it is not that easy to follow this method. No doubt in experimental research design, we usually do that. But it is not that easy to follow this method in sociology. Hence, it is not a physical science, but it is a social science. Then the third one is, we have one science, namely normative science, or your ethics and moral principles, moral science. Probably when you are, let us say, going to school, probably you might have had one class on moral science. Why forget about it? If we ask any other person, then they usually give so many moral stories. So and so person did like that. Even you too should do. Then something good is going to happen to you. Here, a normative thing is there. This is correct and you do only that. Sociology will never say that. Why I'm insisting with my voice is, many times while writing about sociology, students usually write sociology will say what is proper, what is not, what is good, what is not. No, your answer will get 0 if you write like this. Because sociology is a categorical science, but not a normative science. It never says this is good, this is not. It says this is how it looks. This is how it happens. But beyond that, it will not go. It is not a normative science. Whereas moral science follow this method, or ethics follow this method. Nobody should take, let us say, some kind of bribe from others in order to do some kind of activity. Let us say in his official capacity, he is expected to do. Nobody should take bribe. It is a norm. On the basis of that norm, will be defining or classifying people into people who take bribes and people who are not taking bribes. And immediately what we say is, because we know that taking bribes is prohibited, it is a norm, then moral scientists will be saying that nobody should take bribe. If one takes a bribe, then that person must be killed or maimed or give some kind of punishment. So here all these terms, all these explanations, all these statements are normative ones. Norm means a kind of standard. In sociology, we will not come across, even if we study bribery as one of the social problems, we recognize, we explain, we interpret as social disorganization. Most of the people, they are not following some kind of rules and regulations, hence society is changing. Another one is, we have one classification of sciences, pure sciences and applied sciences. Pure science is that science where we will be propagating theories, grand theories, middle range theories, hypotheses, etc. When these theories are applied, then that science becomes applied science. Say, for instance, Newtonian physics. Newton, Sir Isaac Newton, all of you are well aware. He has prepared some theories. E is equal to mc square. I think you remember some of these equations. When we are talking about the energy or the electricity or whatever it is, E is equal to mc square. We are talking about pure science. But when we say some kind of vehicle or some kind of machine on the basis of this particular principle, then that becomes applied science. All natural sciences are having both pure as well as applied aspects, right? But sociology is only pure science. It is not having an applied aspect. This is a general statement. Of course, there is one branch of sociology, namely applied sociology, where we use sociological theories in order to understand what is happening in the society and how society is changing and what type of problems the society is facing and what can be done. But on an average, we see the definitions or explanations of sociology by founding fathers of sociology as well as other sociologists, we can conclude that it is a pure science but not an applied one. Another one is, another classification in sciences, abstract sciences and concrete sciences. Say, for instance, architecture is a concrete science. In architecture, you will be calculating the length, breadth, or width, etc. There you can measure them with a tape or with a scale. And on that basis, on the basis of those measurements, you will be giving a plan to construct one superstructure. That may be house or hall or whatever it is. Here, we are not asking the other person to think about it. Everything is visible, we can see. We can see the plot where you are planning to construct a house. We can see the bricks or mortar or any other building material. But in sociology, it is not possible. If a person is very friendly, then that friendliness you cannot see. You may feel it. but you cannot see what is that friendliness. And such type of things which are not having any structure, which we can see with our naked eyes, such sciences are known as abstract sciences. And sociology is one of them. It is an abstract science. So for instance, if we say society, culture, we don't know how it looks like. We cannot give any structural form for society. If you ask any person to describe society, he or she will be describing, okay, these are my relatives, these are my friends, these are my neighbors, or these are my community people, or these are my country people, or these are my occupational group people. All these explanations will be given, but he cannot show, just like, let us say, a physicist shows a prism, or a chemical scientist shows some kind of chemical material. No, he cannot do. Hence, it is an abstract science. Another classification of sciences is generalizing sciences or general sciences and particular sciences. Particular science will have its own subject matter, methods, and it cannot give any general idea about the subject. Sociology is not a particularistic science. It is a generalized science. For instance, we'll be discussing society, culture, social relationships, and various aspects linked with our social life. Here we are not saying any one particular this thing. In medicine, particularly when you come across experts or specialists, the specialistic science is a particularistic science. For instance, if you met one ophthalmologist, he is an expert on only eyes. That means only eyes, what happens to your eye and all those things. It is a particular aspect. He is not talking about the entire human body. He is talking about only one part of human body, that is your eyes. Similarly, thoracic surgeon, he will not see any other part. Only from here to here, you will be having thoracic tube, which is part of your ribs. Then he will be talking only the thoracic part. He may not talk even about the lungs, which also is a part of the thoracic tube. See, these sciences are particularistic sciences. And another classification of sciences is rational sciences and empirical sciences. When you are able to do experiments, then that is known as empirical science. When you can analyze things by using your logic, then that is a rational science. Sociology is both empirical science. We can do experiments. At the same time, we'll be having analysis of social life also. Hence, it is both rational as well as empirical science. Are these words clear to you? If you have any doubts, I request you to stop me. We'll see. If you are having any doubts, let us try to discuss about them. Can I proceed? Do you have any doubts?
What is the meaning of empirical, ma'am?
Beg pardon? What is the name of?
Meaning of empirical.
Meaning of. Up to meaning I had of that particular.
Empirical, ma'am.
Empirical.
Empirical means where you can do experiments. Say, for instance, let us take medicine as an example. Okay. You have prepared some kind of drug, or some other pharmaceutical company prepared some other kind of drug. What you will be doing is you will be either giving the drug to a patient and observing all the characteristics or effects of that particular. So here you are doing some kind of experiment. When you are able to do the experiment, collect the data and analyze, then it is known as empirical science. Empiricism means you must be able to utilize whatever theories you have learned. That is empirical. Similarly, you take, let us say, chemistry. We are talking about biochemistry, or probably you are well aware of wellness sciences or eugenics, we usually call it. If we take this particular type of food, these effects are going to be there. So what is happening here? If you are taking this particular vegetable, These are the effects. How you came to know? Because you have followed empiricism. You ate that, or you asked other persons to eat it, and you have observed, that is data collection. On the basis of that data, analyzing that data, you have come to a conclusion that if you eat this particular vegetable, then this is going to happen. So such situation is known as empirical study. And sociology sometimes follows this empirical method. But when we talk about, let us say, historical sociology or sociological analysis, in such situations, it is only a rational, on the basis of various factors, will be trying to understand, trying to analyze why it is happening like this. Say, for instance, the present day, we have a variety of categories of people: old, middle-aged, youth, and children. This is one category on the basis of age. Or women and men, this is another category, gender-related category. Similarly, you name it, people who are residing in urban area or rural area, I mean, a variety of classifications are there. Many times what happens, we describe the characteristics of these categories and we understand by using our rational method. That means we'll be thinking, okay, if this is there, this is going to happen. Let me give one example. Chicago School of Thought, which is very famous in sociological studies. Shaw, McGee, and others belong to this particular school of thought. They have studied so many aspects, but I'll take only one aspect. If, let us say, broken family is there, there is every possibility that children from broken family will become criminals, juvenile delinquents. This is one theory which they found on the basis of study what the city Chicago they have studied and how the slum areas are there in that particular city, what type of culture is there, how many families are broken families, and what children from those broken families are doing. They have observed all this. On the basis of all these observations, they have come to a conclusion by using rational method, saying that broken family is a cause for juvenile delinquency, juvenile crime. Here there is no empiricism. They have not done any controlled group or experiment and all that. So this is a rationalism. So sociology is both rational as well as empirical. Shall we proceed to the next one?
Ma'am, but how can like sociology be both rational and empirical? Like one which is opposite, no, ma'am?
Yeah, I'll come to that. Say, for instance, if you are doing research, let us say, research related to introduction of some innovations. Okay. When any innovation is introduced, that will be introduced in a particular area. That may be geographical area or let us say population and all that. So here what is happening? We are having two groups, controlled group and non-controlled group. Let me take a simplest example. Let us say a new soap is introduced into the market. We are also consumers, right? All of us purchase goods, services and all that. That means we are consumers. Consumer behavior also is one of the types of social behavior. If a new soap is introduced by a market in the society, where it will be introduced, they have some kind of parameters. It will be introduced in a particular geographical area or to a particular group of people and all that. So sociologists study this group where the new soap is introduced, their effects and all, the soap's effects and all that, vis-a-vis in relation to another group where this particular soap is not introduced. So what is that they are doing? They are doing a practical experiment. A new innovation, that is new soap, quote unquote, is a new innovation. Some kind of innovation is there. Probably the perfume which we usually use in soaps may be different from the older ones. Whatever it is, but some kind of innovation is there. When innovation is introduced in a group, then what happens? What happens if no innovation is introduced? Here, this type of experimental design we follow in most of the studies. But it will not be possible if you are studying certain aspects of human life. How? For instance, if you have adopted case study method, it is one of the research methods. In case study method, you will be studying about the case. That case may be an individual or group or community, whatever it is. From the beginning, that is day 1 to till you complete your this thing. Every moment, every reaction, every action, you will be noting and analyzing them. Here, what is happening? You are observing one individual, let us say. You cannot have any control group and all those things. A particular individual you are observing. You don't know why that particular individual is behaving like that. You can analyze his behavior from the viewpoint of social life. But beyond that, you cannot do anything, right? Hence, it is a rational science. In fact, let me give one simple example. Judgmani system, it is one of the concepts from our rural India. In rural areas, particularly rural economy is based upon this particular Judgmani system. Even urban areas also, some of the aspects are linked with Judgmani system. What is this system? Judgman or Yajamani is expected to support Kamin, persons who are rendering services to him, and Kamins, in other words, are expected to render their services to the Judgman. This is the basis for Judgman system. William Weiser, he studied this Judgmani system by studying one village in Rampura in Uttar Pradesh district way back in 1957. Of course, at that time, Judgmani system and all those things were not known to the British anthropologists or sociologists. So it was really, it could get a lot of praise and all that, accolades. After 20 years of his study, same William Weiser went back to the same village. He wanted to know how the villagers have received his book on Judgmani system. He asked some of the people whom he has interviewed when he did his study. Do you know what those people said? What is it all that wrong things you wrote about Judgmani system? Why I'm giving this example is because Judgmani system, William Weiser, a social scientist, saw in a particular way, whereas the villagers who were having the system, who has given lot information about that system, were thinking in another way. Who is rational? Both of them are. Sociology analyzes situation, social phenomena, hence it is a rational one. Right?
Yes, ma'am. Like it depends upon the perspective.
Yeah, I'm sorry, ma, your voice was breaking, ma.
Yes, ma'am. It depends about the situation. Like both of them are considered as rational.
As a sociologist, you should be an objective observer, not subjective observer. We are all subjective observers. Say, for instance, let us take a simplest example. If a student is there, a 9th class student is there, 9th class student, if he goes and watches a movie or plays with his colleagues or peer group, then what usually mothers do? How come you are spending your entire time in playing and doing some other activity other than studies? Is it an objective statement? I cannot say it is.
No,
It's a subjective statement, right?
Yes.
Sociology should not be a subjective one. Objectively, whatever is happening, he or she has to record it, check it, use some statistical methods and analyze it. Then it will be considered as sociological study, or else it is not. It will be considered as an evaluative study. Because he will learn more things about all these studies and how to maintain unbiased study and all that when you study research methodology paper. You are having even that paper also. I think at this juncture, it suffices, right? Let us proceed to next one. Of course, so some of the details are there in nature of sociology. I'm skipping that because we have discussed all these aspects. Now, let us proceed to the scope of sociology. Whenever we talk about scope of any science, what is that it studies and how it studies? These are the two aspects which will be given at most importance in order to understand scope. Now, when we talk about scope of sociology, we have two different schools of thought. I'm using this word schools of thought is because they are not theories, only opinions. That is the reason, if you read the slide, different opinions are there about the scope of sociology. Group of opinions are termed as school of thought, right? What are these two? One is formalistic school or specialistic school of thought. And the second one is synthetic or generalized school of thought. These are the two schools of thought we come across when we see how sociologists describe the scope of their study. We know sociologists studies human interactions, their conditions, already we saw one definition, right? And consequences of social life or social actions, all these things we know. But how we study these, here comes the scope of sociology. Let me start with formalistic school or specialistic school. People who belong to are scientists, sociologists who belong to the specialistic or formalistic school, they argue that sociology is an independent science. It never borrows nor accepts link with other social sciences. How to describe this? It is nothing but a pure and independent science, they say, without having any link with other social sciences. Not only that, certain defined aspects of human relationships only will be studied by the sociologists, only will be inquired or investigated. All aspects will not be inquired at all, right? And some of the aspects which we consider as problems, only few problems will be studying, not all. Say, for instance, an individual is having some kind of, let us say, bipolar disorder. A sociologist will not study this bipolar disorder. Psychologist will study, but not the sociologist. He will be studying how this particular person having relationships or maintaining interactions with other persons, but why his bipolar disorder arose, he will not study. Specialistic school is very clear about that. Ginsberg is one person who belongs to specialistic school. Similarly, Kant is another sociologist who belongs to the specialistic school. The second school gives a wide scope to sociology. It says sociology, of course, is a special social science, no doubt. But it is just like economics or political science or anthropology, etc., etc. So sociology is a general science which describes everything about human life or human social life. That is the reason people who belong to this particular school, like Durkheim or let's say Sorokin, these people say sociology studies everything, anything under the sun. Clark Mannheim, he has enlisted a list of topics also while describing how sociology's scope is linked with a synthesis of various aspects of our social life. Some more details, let us see. Please try to remember these names. These are the sociologists who have subscribed to formalistic school: George Simmel, Vincent Small, Kant, Max Weber, von Voice, and Tony. George Simmel is, we can say, very famous for his specialistic or formalistic school. Others followed more or less George Simmel's view. Simmel is a German person, though it is spelled as S, it will be pronounced as Z. What Simmel says is, sociology is an inquiry of certain defined aspects of human relationships. He only uses word pure and independent science, value-free science. Max Weber also talks about value-free science. Simmel defines sociology as a separate science, though the phenomenon is common for, let us say, other social sciences, the viewpoint which sociologists uses is different from other viewpoints. Similarly, small also follows the same school of thought. What he says is, sociology studies the general forms of social relationships or behaviors and activities, etc., etc. When we use the word generic or general forms of social relationships, we are differentiating these social relationships from other social relationships which are the subject matter for economics or history or political science or other social sciences. Because social relationship is common, no doubt, I know, I accept it. But at the same time, how we view social relationships is different from other social sciences. What Weirkant says, let us have an idea. Weirkant uses another concept, namely sociology is a special knowledge. How it is special? What he says is certain ultimate mental or psychic relationships unite people in a society. Say, for instance, X, Y, Z, three human beings are there. Let us take a simplest example. X and Y, they both are from the same college, though they are from a particular group, namely youth, let us say 18 years old, whereas Z is not from college where X and Y are studying. Here, what combines X and Y as friends and what doesn't combine X and Y as X and Z or Y and Z as friends? The common aspect is where they are studying. So this common aspect is termed as a mental or psychic relationship by Weirkant. Here we are studying in the same college. That particular mental or psychic relationship brings friendship among X and Y, whereas Z is studying in another college, hence he may not be or she may not be our friend. Here it is stopping X or Y to make friendship with Z. But these three persons may become friends when they are waiting for public transport at a particular place, let us say bus stop. Here, what is that which brings friendly relationship between X, Y, as Z? It is not where they are studying, it is not where they are residing, it is not to which community they belong to, how they are, but only one aspect, that is they are using one particular place as a common place where they wait for a public transport system so that they can go to their destination. So these are all psychic or mental relationships which unite us in society. So these unique ultimate processes are subject matter for sociology. They are different from economics or political science and other sciences. Max Weber gives a very comprehensive definition of sociology. He takes social action, social behavior as a pivotal concept. What he says is sociology is aimed to interpret and understand social behavior. It is not only interpreting, understanding also. How can you understand? You can understand only by analyzing, classifying, and coming to certain conclusions about our social relationships. Let me give a simple example, of course, from Max Weber only. If two cyclists are traveling in opposite direction, let us say both of them are traveling. At a particular point, they both meet each other. Let us imagine, for our convenience sake or a lighter vein, then they have crossed each other at a place where only one cycle can go, the second one cannot. We are having so many bylanes or bridges, etc., where only one vehicle can pass through, but not two at one go. Here, how they behave with each other is a peculiar social behavior or ultimate or specific social behavior. Some people may say, how dare you to cross? I am so-and-so, so-and-so, or I belong to so-and-so, so-and-so group. Other person may meekly say, I am really very sorry. In some cases, both of them may say, I am so-and-so, I am so-and-so. They may fight with each other. Right? These are only two examples I have given. 2 to the power of n. Those many social relationships we can come across in this a simplest situation. And here Max Weber says we have to interpret, we have to understand them by analyzing, classifying these social relationships. That is sociology. Weir Kant, all these people also follow the same. Von Weiss also same. Let us come to the next school of thought. Sociology is a very generalized science because it studies everything. People who belong to this particular school says so. It studies everything means, what does it mean? It means sociology is not a specific science which studies only one aspect or part of a particular aspect, but it is a synthesis. Synthesis means mixture of various social sciences and their subject matter. Each part may be a subject matter for one particular social science, but here comprehensively, sociology studies all aspects. Who are all subscribed this school of thought? Let us have a look. Emil Durkheim, who is considered as father of sociology, is a founding father for synthetic school, just like our Zimmel for specialistic school. Hobhouse, Sorokin, Karl Mannheim, Ginsberg, Alex Inkel's, J.B. Mickey, to name a few, are sociologists who belong to synthetic school. What Durkheim says about sociology and its subject matter, let us have an idea. Durkheim says the subject matter of sociology can be divided into three major divisions. Please remember, sociology studies everything, anything under the sun. Hence, all these divisions, because we are not going to stick to only one particular aspect of our human life. A variety of aspects are there. Hundreds of aspects are there. Then how to study, which part we are going to study. Hence, we have to classify them into some groups. Durkheim did that. For that matter, synthetic school subscribers did the same. What are these three divisions? He says social morphology. This word morphology is taken from natural sciences, to be precise, or medicine. Right? Then social physiology. Even this word also is taken from medicine by Durkheim. Because he was a scientist, natural scientist. He wrote a rules of sociological method book, in which he tried his level best to establish sociology as a science, natural science. Just like Comte tried to prove it as a physics, he tried to prove it as a natural science, biological sciences, and general sociology. But under the social morphology, what is it we are going to study? We are going to study about the population. And population on the basis of what? Where they are residing, geographical aspects, and how many people are residing there, how they are residing, this is volume and density. In other words, local distribution and how they are residing. Let me take a simplest example here. If we take any urban area into consideration, we talk about all these geographical areas or territorial areas. For instance, let us take, I think most of you are from Hyderabad. I don't know from which areas you belong to. Let me take Hyderabad as an example. Many people migrated to Hyderabad from the hinterland as well as from other cities, both class 1, class 2, class 3. Many people migrated. One particular aspect we can say, not only Hyderabad, in any city we can come across. People, when they migrate from one particular place to another area, the tendency is they prefer to stay where people from their area are residing. It is one aspect. Locality is one aspect. Or territoriality is one aspect. This is in sociology known as segregation. Say, for instance, non-Urdu speaking persons will not go to the old city and reside there without any fear. Here, language is a parameter in order to choose geographical base. The second one is to which economic group you belong to, your economic status, not social status. With economic status, social status comes. There is another process. We are taking only morphological or geographical territorial aspects. Let me once again take Hyderabad as an example. We usually come across high volume of population, high density of population in certain areas where we come across old houses, reconstructed as apartments, whereas we also come across skyscrapers where these houses are constructed on an open land. There is a difference between these two. You can understand if you are residing in any urban area, you can understand this. Say, for instance, if you are having your apartment in a densely populated area, next to your house, there is every possibility that there will be a colony. Once upon a time, we used to call them as a slum area. Now we are calling them as colony. And colony will have less and less amenities, whereas this lack of amenities problem definitely influences people living in an apartment. That may be, let us say, high crime rate, or that may be related to water facility, or that may be related to parking areas, you name it. So what parameters are deciding where we are living? They are not simply whether land is available or not. No, with this, even one more parameter we can add. If you want to take membership in a particular social class, you usually choose where to reside. If you want to be, let us say, urban, upper or upper class, then 99% cases you usually choose to live in 50th floor of a skyscraper rather than 5th floor of a particular apartment. Here, what is happening? Our morphological aspects are not merely linked with geography. They are linked with so many other aspects. So the game says we have to see all these aspects. We cannot say, okay, sociology studies only social life, not geographical area. No way, we cannot say that. All these are interlinked. Similarly, physiology. What is meant by physiology? Just like human being or human beings have certain characteristics, physiological characteristics, every society, a community or group will have certain characteristics. Like what type of rules we are following, or what type of moral systems we are having, what type of economic life we are leading, or what type of language we are having, what type of activities are related to all these aspects. These aspects also we study. And general sociology aims to see, discover, explain the general character of all these social facts. All these are termed as social facts by Emil Durkheim. Hobhouse also is of the same view. He says it is not one particular field, but sociology interprets social life as a whole. Sorokin defines sociology as a study of relationship between different aspects of social phenomena. Our family is a social phenomena. Within family, husband and wife, if they are quarreling with each other, even that also is a social phenomena. If, let us say, mother is not able to control children and she says, come on, your father is going to come and control you. Even that one particular statement also is a social phenomena because it is linked with gender socialization. So all these aspects will be studied. Similarly, Karl Mannheim divides the scope of sociology into two: systematic and general sociology. We have historical sociology, comparative sociology, and all that. Alex Sinkels, who wrote Sociology and Introduction, it is a very simple book, but it is considered as authentic textbook for sociology. He says we can identify four major aspects in the scope of sociology: social analysis, primary concepts of our social life, basic social institutions, and basic social processes. This is about the scope of sociology. Please give me a minute. Let us have 1 or 2 minutes about importance of sociology. We are all studying sociology, but the question remains why we are studying. A generalized opinion will be given by the student saying that we would like to know about the society. No way. I'm not going to accept this. The reason
time is over.
I know, that is the reason I asked. Do you have any class now?
Ma'am, well, when will be the next class, ma'am?
Our next class, I think you have already received the timetable, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Next
Second
Saturday.
Saturday, we are going to have our next class. Okay, then this part we'll see in our next class. That is on second Saturday at 1 o'clock. 12th February. Right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
then.
Ma'am,
Thank you,
in the
ma'am.
same
Right.
date.
But only thing is, you please go through your books. If you are not doing that, I am really very sorry.
Ma'am,
I'll be talking and you'll be listening. The net result
Please continue, ma'am.
is 0.
ma'am, I have a doubt now.
Right? Okay, then see you. Bye.
Ma'am, please continue.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yeah, tell me. Tell me the doubt.
In textbook, they told one a word, ma'am, like social pathology. What does that mean?
Social? What is it you said?
Pathology. Social pathology. Like you told social
It's a branch,
morphology and
just like
social.
sociology, it is a branch. It is it arose because of the conjointment of sociology and psychology. Psychology studies one individual, his psychological aspects and all that. But what happens if people are living in a group? What happens if people are assembled as a big group? All these aspects will be studied by the social psychology. Say, for instance, if you are working, job satisfaction, it is linked with the relationship between you and your colleagues, you and your, let us say, your boss and all that. Here, that you is a subject matter of psychology. How you are behaving, how you are thinking, how you are analyzing. So in social psychology, we'll be studying all these aspects. In other words, simply saying, when human being is in a group, how human being thinks, acts upon. That is the subject matter for social psychology.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, shall we learn the points which you have given, ma'am?
Sorry? Hello? Hello? You please repeat, ma, if you are having any doubt.
Ma'am, shall we learn these points, ma'am, which you have given now, ma'am?
Okay, thank you. Okay, ma. So let us have our class on 12th. Same hour, okay?
Yes,
Meanwhile,
ma'am.
please go through. And if you are having any doubts, let us discuss them in our next class. Okay, then see you. Bye.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
హలో హలో హేమాబాయ్ ఉందా
Hello. Hello. Who?
ప్రవీణ్ అరే దా పోదాం దా అయిపోయింది క్లాస్ ఏంద్రా బావోళ్ళు ఎవరు రాలేరా ఏమో మరి నాకు కూడా తెలియదు
Hello.
వదినా
Hello.
బీర్ తాగుతావరా మరి ఇంట్లో ఉంది
Ah.
ఆ ఫ్రిడ్జ్ లో ఉంది తాగరాదు
Hello.
హలో
హలో
Hello.
ఎవరు
అన్న ఇప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ ఏముందన్నా
హిస్టరీ 4 o'clock ఉంది
అవునా థ్యాంక్ యూ నిన్న
4 to
క్లాస్
5
నిన్న క్లాసెస్ జరిగినాయా
నిన్న కూడా జరిగింది
ఓకే ఓకే
మావయ్య అట్టని ఫోన్ చేసింది చూడరా మావనేనా దాని ఆయన సాగదొక్కుతుండు మా పిండాలు ఒక తల
Hello?
పెట్టేస్తాడు ఈ లోపల పోదాం.
Brother, 4 to 5, 8 class?
హిస్టరీ అనా?
Okay, thank you, Anna.
హలో
హలో చెప్పండి.
అన్నా, కాలేజ్ గ్రూప్ ఉందా వాట్సాప్?
తెలియదంటే వాట్సాప్ గ్రూప్ లింక్ పంపించారు కదా
దేంట్లో?
అన్న ఇప్పుడు చాట్ లిస్ట్ లో ఉంది చూడండి.
చాట్ లిస్ట్ లో ఉంది.
ఆ. అక్కడ కూడా లేవురా.
అన్నా
హలో
హలో
చెప్పండి.
అన్న డౌట్స్ అడగాలంటే ఎవరిని అడగాలి? అసలు చాట్ చేయనియట్లేరు కదా.
చాట్ చేయనియరు మనల్ని, మనం అలానే చెప్తూనే ఉండాలి మేడానికి.
అన్న మీ నెంబర్ అన్న చెప్పండి అన్న, మీకన్నా మీతోనన్నా కనుక్కోనికి.
మా నెంబర్ ఏం వద్దులే అట్లా. పెట్టింది బండి పంప అలా రెండు బండి ఎందుకు ఏ అమ్మ పిండాలు పెట్టినాక బట్టి ముద్ద దీని బయట వచ్చేదానికి ఎందుకు.
అన్నా నీకు ఇప్పుడు అన్నా సాయిగౌడనా? సాయిగౌడనా?
If anyone have timetable, please send me the link of the timetable.
సాయిగౌడనా?
Anyone having the timetable, please send me the timetable link.
గ్రూప్ లో యాడ్ అయ్యారా? కాలేజ్ గ్రూప్ లో?
కాలేజ్ గ్రూప్ లో ఇంకా యాడ్ కాలే. రేపు నిమ్మలంగా అయిదామని.
లింక్ లేదే చాట్ లో.
పైన ఇచ్చారు.
ఏమన్నా? ఓకే.
అన్న ఇంగ్లీష్ ఉందా అన్న నెక్స్ట్? 2:30 to 3:30 ఏందుందన్నా? హలో
తెలియదు సిస్టర్, చూడాలి.
హలో,
హలో,
ఇంగ్లీష్ లిటరేచర్ ఉంది.
లిటరేచర్ ఉంది.
ఇప్పుడా నెక్స్ట్?
అవునవును, ఇంగ్లీష్ లిటరేచర్ 2:30 to 3:30.
ఓకే.
Tell me the link na ma'am.
మీ నంబర్ చెప్పండి. ఎవరు మీరు? మీ పేరు?
Link.
నా పేరు భాగ్యలక్ష్మి.
అవునా?
లింక్ ఉందా ఇంగ్లీష్ లిటరేచర్ క్లాస్?
ఉంది.
దీని తర్వాతే ఆన్ అవుతుంది.
Will you please tell me the English literature link? I didn't get link. That's why I am asking you.
నిర్మల
2:30 to 3:30.
Not time. Link number 89822. What's that? Tell me that number.
ఒక నిమిషం.
Yes. Wait.
Meeting ID.
Waiting for
మీటింగ్ ఐడి.
English literature meeting ID. ఇప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ దానిగా
ఒక
I
నిమిషం.
don't have the link. That's why I'm asking you. Please tell me the number. I have noted.
1 minute 1 minute.
Okay.
చూడు లింక్ అంట ఇంగ్లీష్ లిటరేచర్.
ఇంగ్లీష్ ఎగ్జామ్ రాలేదు కదా.
క్లాస్ ఉన్నదని షెడ్యూల్ ఇచ్చారు కానీ
ఇప్పుడు ఉంది కదా అన్న 2:30 to 3:30.
2:30 to 3:30 ఉంది.
కానీ లింక్ ఏం రాలేదు బ్రదర్.
లింక్ ఏం లేదు.
క్లాస్ ఉందని అయితే షెడ్యూల్ లో ఇచ్చారు, ఆన్లైన్ షెడ్యూల్
లింక్ పంపించినారు చూడండి చాట్ లో.
తెలుగు కూడా ఇప్పుడు ఉంది.
చాట్ లో లింక్ పంపించారు.
అదే అంటున్నారు ఆయన కూడా.
అన్నా అక్క ఇది సైకాలజీ పబ్లిక్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ మార్నింగ్ ఒకటే టైం కి జరిగినాయి కదా.
It's finished, ma'am.
అవును, అది ఒకటే టైం కి జరిగింది కదా. అట్లా వస్తే ఏదని వినాలి, రెండు ఒకటేసారి వస్తే.
తెలుగు లేదు మ్యామ్.
తెలుగు లేదు.
తెలుగు కాదు, సైకాలజీ పబ్లిక్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ ఉంది కదా.
ఓకే.
అట్లా రెండు ఒకటే టైం కి చెప్తే ఎట్లని వినాలి, దేనికని వినాలి? రెండు ఒకటే సబ్జెక్ట్ కదా. ఇదంతా
Today only 3 subjects is there. English literature is not there.
ఓకే. తెలుగు ఈరోజు తెలుగు లిటరేచర్ ఉందా క్లాస్?
అదైతే 2:30 to 3:30 ఉంది.
పోదండ్రా. అప్పుడే బెంచ్ వేస్తారట్రా.
I don't have English literature meeting ID, ma'am. So will you please send me English literature meeting ID?
ఎవరు మొత్తం కొట్టాడు. పక్కనే అయినవరా డొక్కలాడుకోపోయినది అని చెప్తే
ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఎప్పుడు ఉంటాయి తెలుసా అందరు?
షెడ్యూల్ ఇచ్చాడనా, ఎగ్జామ్స్ డేట్ ఇంకొక 3 months తర్వాత అన్నారు.
3 months
ఏప్రిల్ లో ఉండొచ్చు, ఏప్రిల్ మార్చ్ అన్నారు. ఫోన్ చేసిందా చిన్నమ్మ?
ఇది ఏది సెంటర్?
హలో
చెప్పండి అన్న.
చెప్పడానికి హలో
ఇది ఏ సెంటర్ అన్న? ఏ సెంటర్ పడింది మీకు?
సెంటర్ నాది ఎగ్జామ్స్ లేకపోతే
అన్న హాల్ టికెట్స్ రాలే కదా సెంటర్ రానికి.
రాలేదు, అదే అని ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఇప్పుడు ఏడనే మార్చ్ ఏప్రిల్ అన్నారు కదా.
హాల్ టికెట్స్ ఇస్తేనే సెంటర్ వస్తుంది.
అంటే నువ్వు అనేది ప్రెసెంట్ ఇప్పుడు మనం అడ్మిషన్స్ ఇచ్చిందంటవా? నాది సికింద్రాబాద్ యూజీ పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ కాలేజ్.
సికింద్రాబాద్
కాలేజ్ దగ్గర ఇక ఎగ్జామ్స్ కూడా అక్కడనే జరుగుతాయి, క్లాసెస్ కూడా అక్కడనే అన్నారు. మీదానా?
అది ఖైరతాబాద్.
ఖైరతాబాదా? ఇక అందరికి డిఫరెంట్ డిఫరెంట్ లొకేషన్స్ చెప్తారు ఒక్కనే ఇయ్యరు కదా. ఆడికి లీవ్ అవుతున్నానా నేను?
निकल जाने को तो निकल जाने को तो इसका
లీవ్.
హలో హలో
హలో
బుక్స్ ఇచ్చారా సిస్టర్?
ఇచ్చిండ్రు కదా.
కాలేజీ దగ్గర పోయి తీసుకోవాలా?
అవును. అవునన్నా.
ఏమన్నా ఫీజు కట్టాలా బుక్స్ కి?
అవును కట్టాలి.
హౌ మచ్
అమౌంటా?
అమౌంట్
300.
300.
మీరు తీసుకోలేదా?
తీసుకోలేదు.
ఎక్కడ? ఈడ మాబ్నగరా?
కాదు.
ఎక్కడ మీది? ఏ కాలేజ్?
ఖైరతాబాద్ కాలేజ్ సెంటర్ నాది.
ఆహా.
బడంపేటలో ఉంటారు, బాలాపూర్.
ఆహా.
యువర్ సిస్టర్?
మేము ఇక్కడ మాబ్నగర్.
మహబూబ్ నగర్.
అంబేద్కర్ యూనివర్సిటీ.
ఓకే. ఎన్ని బుక్స్ సిస్టర్? బుక్స్ ఎన్ని ఇచ్చారు?
7.
ఆల్ బుక్స్ కి కలిపి 300.
అది స్కూల్ మన కాలేజ్ లో మాత్రమే, వేరేతోనే తీసుకుంటే ఎక్కువ ఉంటది. మనం జాయిన్ అయినతోనే తీసుకుంటే తక్కువ ఉంటది. సబ్జెక్ట్
బిఏ.
ఓకే.
మీది?
నాది కూడా బిఏనే.
ఏది సిస్టర్?
బిఏ.
బిఏనే.
గ్రూప్స్?
ఏం సిస్టర్?
గ్రూప్ బిఏ లా ఏవేవి
సబ్జెక్ట్సా?
సోషాలజీ, సైకాలజీ, పబ్లిక్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్, అవేనా?
కాదు సిస్టర్.